Hi, this is Derek Jordan. Welcome to the World Fusion Show, where we bring you the leading innovators in world fusion music. Today, my guest is Jed Blume, who is a composer, handpan player, and tabla player. Welcome, Jed,
Hi,
to the
Derek.
World Fusion Show. Thanks for coming on.
So good to be here.
It's great to have you. So, you play a very unusual instrument, the handpan. Now, the handpan is very similar to the steel drum from Trinidad, but steel drum is played with sticks, with little sticks with rubberized tips, and the handpan is played with the fingers. And it's usually set to a scale, a certain scale or mode, whereas the steel pan is chromatic a lot of times. So what's got you interested in handpan, and what's going on with the handpan culture right now? Seems like it's exploding.
Yeah, the handpan is such a new instrument. We're talking within the past 20 years or so, coming out of Europe, Bern, Switzerland, there was a company called Pan Art that made the first handpan design. They were calling it the hang or the hung drum. And it very instantly became this internet sensation. YouTube videos, Facebook, and that was my first exposure to it as well. I felt like, as a percussionist, I really wanted to branch into the world of melodic playing, and I wanted to be able to do so as a drummer. And this handpan instrument was that bridge for me. It enabled me to take what I've learned on hand drums, drum kit, etc., and apply it to a drum that I can play with my hands, but also play melodic lines toward. And I think that's really the allure of the handpan in a lot of ways, is that you can keep the rhythm on top the way you would on a hand drum, but also play melodic lines over top of it. It has this one-man band effects that really drew me in.
Well, people love the instrument. It's become very, very popular, I know. You even went to Italy to get one of your pans recently, right? So you really very particular about the instrument.
I met a maker named Matteo who works for a company called Harmonic Sculpture, and he offered to custom design me a handpan. And so I put it in a key that gave me sort of a complementary set of notes to my other pans that I already had, that enabled me to build toward more of a chromatic setup, having all of the notes to pick from.
You also, I know you have a background in percussion, playing drum set and other hand percussion, tablas as well. We're going to get into some of that later on the show and do some playing together. Really looking forward to that. I think what we should do is let's go to the first video clip. And want to set this up. This is where you're performing with a circus artist. Want to tell us about that?
Yeah, very much. It's the talented Melissa Knowles, who is a teacher here at the New England Center for Circus Arts, NECA. She and I teamed up. She choreographed a straps act to some of my music. And I have to say that collaborating with flow artists, beyond circus even, belly dancers, fire spinners, whatever it might be, has really been a great outlet for the handpan, because the music's so ethereal and flowy in and of itself that the flow artists seem to flock to it, and it's created some really great collaborations like the one you're going to see in this video.
I can't wait. Let's take a look at this. This is cool. Right, that's so cool. I love that. Such a nice collaboration that you guys are doing. So you play with a bunch of different people. I know. Why don't you tell us about some of the different situations you work and people you work with?
Yeah, it's certainly a polymusical arrangement. I have been an accompanist most of my life. A lot of singer-songwriters want me to come and tap along and just make them sound good, and I'm happy to learn their music. And doing that's really given me a window into compositional form. And when I got my hands on the handpans, I started composing my own and was able to put together my own material to present in my own way and not have to be behind somebody else, perhaps for the first time as a musician. And that took me through a recording process. Was able to cut a full-length album here on handpan featuring a few of my friends on a few different tracks. Did that at Continental Recording Studio in Long Island City with my buddy Phil. Great studio. Definitely want to plug that for anybody interested.
We'll put a link up on the show, end of the show, so people can go right to that. And
yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And so the handpans really opened up a lot for me. It's taken me into this acoustic music world where I've been able to team up with my buddy Anders in a group called Aura Shards, based right here in Brattleboro. And we do sort of accompaniment of each other's handpan tracks because he's a handpan player too. So I'll play acoustic, tabla, or djembe, or other sorts of percussion under his tracks, and then he'll do the same for mine. And that's great for like the farmer's market scene. And we have a lot of fun because it really fills the air and it's all acoustic.
Yeah.
And then there's also the electric application. I feel like a lot of singer-songwriters do this with their music. They're able to do the acoustic version and the electric version. And for me, the electric version has been teaming up with my buddy Wyatt Andrews in a group called Deep Seas. And he's an electronic music producer. And so he drops fat beats and I lay down the melodic line. And
some synth.
Yeah, and some synth. And it's really, it's a good match. It's got a lot of people excited, a lot of bodies moving on dance floors. And it's got a really new sound to it because it's not all live instrumentation,
right?
And it's not all electronic, but it's this
it's
happy medium of the two. Yeah.
That's great. So now you also work with Joel Eisenkramer, who plays Indian slide guitar, and you yourself have traveled to India to study tablas. Tell us about that trip to India and what that meant to you.
Yeah, Joel's really talented. Got to give him props. He set me up with a tabla teacher when he and I started studying Indian classical music together. He had been back and forth to India a few times prior to that and met somebody there who he set me up with. I started doing Skype lessons for maybe 3 or 4 years and then got the invite to go out and do an intensive 8-hour-a-day, live with my teacher, study with my teacher kind of curriculum. And that's really the pedagogy of that part of the world is you got to immerse in it. And so when I was given the opportunity to travel out there and do it that way, I did it, 3 weeks, 8 hours a day. It was intense, but I came back with a sense of confidence that I would not have been able to get through lessons on Skype that happen once a week for an hour. And I want to go again.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, I love your tabla playing. I think you have a really great sound and
thanks, Derek.
Great sense of rhythm as well. We're going to go to the next video, which is you and Wyatt. And I just want to say a disclaimer that Wyatt has been the video producer of this show from the beginning. So he's, been instrumental in helping us put together the World Fusion show.
Nice pun. That was good.
So but we're going to see and hear you and Wyatt doing your, electronic production and steel pan thing coming up right now. So let's go to that video, please. Yeah. I love that stuff. That's cool. It's great stuff.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Wyatt for
Wyatt,
helping putting that video together, and to BCTV where we are right now.
That's right.
We shot that video here as well.
You did, yeah. It looks great too. It's a cool, the black and white kind of thing is very hip. Okay, now you grew up in New Jersey,
I did.
Just like I did. We were both Jersey guys, but now we live in Vermont.
We got out.
We got out, and Vermont's a super place to be. But I want to know what it was like growing up there, and what kind of music your parents were playing around the house. I know they were musical too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the New Jersey culture is obviously very different than the culture here in Brattleboro. And my parents were very good about getting instruments into my hands from a young age. I started playing drums at 5 years old because there was a music studio set up in my basement where my dad's band would practice. And when they weren't in there,
it's like a rock band, or
yeah, it was like a rock band, yeah. And when they weren't in there, I would find myself occasionally wandering in there before I was tall enough to see over the drum set, picking up the sticks and just trying to make noise on things.
Oh, yeah.
And being in that environment was a springboard for me to start a practice.
Yeah.
And I've had a daily practice for most of my life, and it's really been one of my favorite things to come home from work, cook dinner, and then settle into the evening by sitting down, composing, recording, just working on whatever the project of the day might be, either with one of my groups or by myself more often than not. Just using that daily practice to really anchor myself in my music and just continue to put energy in that direction. And that's something that my parents started me with really early, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I wasn't really aware of the long-term impact of it when I was 10 years old, like, oh, I don't want to practice today, but I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So I want to just ask you a little more about where your inspiration comes from. I know you told me that you were really deeply inspired by the group Shakti, which I also adore. And it's an Indian fusion group, for sure, with John McLaughlin and who's the other? The tabla player.
Zakir Hussain.
Zakir Hussain.
Yeah. Living
amazing,
legend. Yeah.
amazing tabla player, percussionist. Anyway, tell me more about those influences and, what that was meant to you.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing about world fusion music is that there's the world component, which is deeply a cultural thing and rooted in all these traditions.
Right.
And then there's the fusion component, which is a little bit more loosey-goosey and doesn't have as many hard and fast rules. And I really like to blend and balance that. I like to find the nice mixture between honoring the traditional stuff and then going off on my own path, marching to the beat of my own drum, if you will. In terms of inspiration, I find that I draw on emotional experiences. We're talking about trauma and glory, tragedy and triumph, long walks in nature, connecting with beautiful women. Things that inspire emotions in me are the things that I find really translate into the musical language. When I sit down and I'm feeling whatever it is that I'm feeling and I'm playing, there's a bridge there that's made. There's a connection there that's made between whatever that strong emotion that I'm sitting with is and what sounds are coming out. And I really try to tap into that because it's non-lyrical music, and so it can take you places. And the more I can channel this emotional content into what I'm producing, the more people are going to identify with it and hear that emotion. And they won't necessarily understand that I have this sense of the emotion that I'm putting into my song, but it's going to elicit things in them nonetheless. And that's kind of what I'm going for in some ways, at least in my solo presentation of stuff. It's softer. It's not necessarily dance music.
Right.
It draws a lot of healing arts practitioners, massage therapists, yoga teachers, these sorts of things. Because of that emotional content, it's a really good way to get in the flow, get in the zone of whatever's going on in the room. And so it kind of has this background ambient effects, but also this very active, like emotional content effects.
Sure.
And I play with that balance a lot.
Good. So let's go to the next video. This is a chance to hear Jed playing solo on the pan.
This last song is called Journey.
Yeah, nice, nice, nice. So, why Brattleboro?
Yeah, I mean, Brattleboro is so great. It's this little arts town that's kind of tucked away in the mountains, and these long winters that we have are great times to sort of buckle down and focus on projects at home, like composing,
Yeah.
recording, these sorts of things. And so many artists here. The sun comes out. It's springtime. Everyone wants to come out and put their work out there. Farmers markets to play at. Good food. What's there to not like about this place?
I like the place too a lot. I've been here almost 40 years, and it's been a great place and very culturally rich town, I think, which has been really fantastic.
Everyone's got a hidden talent.
Yeah. So, hey, Jed, I just want to really thank you, my guest, Jed Blume, for being with us today, coming on the show and playing your beautiful pan. And we're going to actually go to the part of the show now where we do some live playing. Yeah. Get into it a little bit, which would be really awesome. So thank you so much for coming, Jed.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to be here on the World Fusion Show.
Thank you, Jed. All right. So yeah. Hey, this is Derek Jordan. Thanks for joining us today. And just want to say, we've got lots more great musicians and composers who do World Fusion coming up in the future. Remember, think globally, listen locally, and support independent music.